Honorable Ugamba enjaga ne Miraa birungi okusinga omwenge.
Kasigamba enjaga ne Miraa birungi okusinga omwenge. Byonna bibi. Omwenge mubi, enjaga mbi, Miraa mbi. Naye weebiri. Otegedde weebiri. Nze saagala sinywa mwenge, sinywa Miraa, sinywa enjaga, naye njagala kubategeeza nti waliwo ekika ky'enjaga omuva eddagala. Ate eddagala eryo lya bbeeyi nnyo. Mu nsi yonna abalirima bafuna ssente nnyingi. Saagala kugaana abantu baffe kulima enjaga eyo evaamu eddagala. Si eno ey'okutamiiza, si yakutamiiza, eyo ey'eddagala. Abagisobola bagirime bafune ku ssente nabo bagagawale. Tewali buzibu kubanga aba science batugamba nti eyo enjaga evaamu eddagala tetamiiza. Etamiiza yeeyo etavamu ki ddagala. So njagala abantu baffe balime eyo etatamiiza evaamu eddagala erya kansa, erya okusesema, erya ne covid. Ne covid kubanga waliwo abantu abalikozesa eddagala eryo ne bawona ki ne baziiza ebizibu bya covid. So njagala naffe tukole ki kubanga Canada bagirima, America bagirima, Israel bagirima, ne Bungereza bagirima, ne South Africa ne Botswana. So oba abalala mu nsi yonna bagirima, lwaki ffe tetukola ki? Naye ekizibu ekitulina mu tteeka lyaffe twateekamu enjaga yonna ne tugigaana. Twagaana embidde n'etooke eyali nsobi. Kati njagala tubyawule. Decoration ya Christmas tujje kuyembaga. Tufiirwa ssente meka tewali kubanga tetunatandika kulima. Kati industry y'enjaga etuuse mu billions. It's a multi-billion dollar industry. Otegedde kubanga bagamba ku katale k'ensi yonna lita y'eddagala ya oil evaamu eddagala, lita y'enjaga eyo evaamu $1,000,000 ze $367,000. So naawe okiraba nti singa abantu baffe bakkiriza nga bagoberera amateeka g'okulima enjaga. Kulima enjaga eyo y'eddagala, so si njaga eno eyaki ey'okucakala etamiiza. Abantu baffe abakisobola toyinza gamba nti buli muntu yenna agisobola kubanga ya bbeeyi. Si buli muntu yenna agisobola. Singa tufunira abantu baffe omukisa ogulima enjaga nabo ne bagirongoosa ne bajjamu omubisi ogwo ne bagutunda tufuna ku ssente. Waliwo embeera bibeerawo. Scientist akugambye nti oluusi bikyamusa omutwe ate ne byongera n'amaanyi. Naye gyebiri wadde gyebiri abantu baffe West Nile tebanayonooneka, tebaweddewo. West Nile wavayo abantu abagezi nnyo. Abantu abasingayo amagezi mu Uganda muno bava West Nile. Wadde ebigunda ebyo bibeera munanka mu ttale.
General, there is that and I understand there has been some production because I was visited that place. There is a factory production line. Are you aware of how much quantity is coming out and is getting
kubanga nze tubadde tebinkwatako kutuusa kati. Naye bwe nategedde nti waliwo abalima himma ne bafuna ku ssente ne ngamba lwaki tubeera n'omuntu omu ttiimu y'omupiira babeera 11 kati ffe tulina goolukipa yekka. Kati tufune ttiimu y'omupiira kwabo abalima himma babafuna ssente katwongereko 10 ettiimu ekole ki ewere ate tubeere ne reserve tubeere n'abalala ne B team. Kubanga tulina katunanka mu ttiimu tulinamu omuntu omu goolukipa, tetulina ba striker, tetulina ki katufune abalala tulongose mu tteeka tukkirize abantu baffe okwegatta kwabo abahimma kubanga abahimma Bayudaaya Baisirairi bakola ssente. Yesu tufunamu naye ssente ziddawa? Ssente zivaamu ziddawa ewaabwe ate experiment yaabwe eyiseemu tulaba nti bakola bulungi tewali mutawaana bafuna sente lwaki ffe tetukkiriza bannayuganda bakiwanuka bakahinda baokero nabo ne bakola ki kubanga nabo balina amagezi balina sente balina obuyinza balina bascientist tulina abapoliisi abasobola okukuuma enjaga eyo nabo bakole ki lwaki tugiwaana nkagundi si kugamba nti saagala bainvestor naye abantu baffe bakaddugala nga nze nabo tuteeka okuba waki omukisa.
Honorable, you are a renowned farmer and you do a lot.
I said we allowed certain farmers, a certain company, on experimental basis to grow cannabis, medicinal cannabis, and we proved that they are successful. Fortunately, those who are growing are foreign investors. They are from Israel. Now, what I'm arguing is the proceeds, much as we get taxes, some benefits, much of the proceeds is repatriated to Israel. So I'm saying, if these fellows are making profit, why don't we allow our own people, Ugandans, the Chiwanukas, the Otafires, the Okelos, the Bamasava, to grow cannabis, those who can afford, those who have the capacity to grow it, and the proceeds remain here.
And then on the sector, you told us that even back at home, you used to give these things to animals.
Yes, but that is the one which makes people high. I don't know whether when you give it to the animals, whether they get excited or not. There is we give this cannabis, and actually it's THC, the one which makes people high, to cows which are suffering from a disease we call Musimajiro. We give these drugs to cows. I don't know whether they get high because I've never been a cow, and I don't intend to. So, but I think it makes economic sense that since these people have been successful and we've not had incidents, we should allow other people to join the industry.
Somebody can worry about the safeguards that are in place.
No, the safeguards were deployed in Kasese, and they've grown this cannabis for 4 years, and we've not had an incident. Can also be selectively, used for other farmers who have capacity, because we can afford to guard 100, even 1,000 gardens. Yeah. You don't have to use the police. You can even detail these private security companies to guard those facilities. Tujja kukozesa police, tujja kukozesa nabano aba security companies za security. Mutufoto kubeera nga bakuuma nankagundi balina ebitanka ebigundi ebiti bakuuma mayumba bagende bakuume industries ngezo kubanga zirimu omugaso bafuna sente nyingi eddagala eryo luvaamu sente nyingi so bayinza kubongera abakuumi abo abalinzi abo bayinza kubongera naku musaala lwakubanga industry eba esobola okusasula. Singa Mayirungi gabadde Somalia tewandibaddeyo muntu.
Thank you. My name is Wakoli Godfrey, and I represent the people of Till County and Manafa District. Today, the Minister of Internal Affairs has tabled, of course, appeared before the Committee of Internal Affairs and Defense and Internal Affairs to look into the narcotic and the psychotropic substance bill, actually an act, which was, of course, nullified way back by court. And as a committee, this particular bill was referred to us by the Speaker of Parliament for us to scrutinize it, because this is given to us under our rules of procedure, Rule 129 of our rules of procedure. So far, this morning, we're trying to look at, listen to the submission and the presentation of the Minister and his team. However, we have not come to the conclusion because the Minister is pleading with the committee that we remove the cut, which is Miraa, and the part of the cannabis from the bill, from the list of the narcotic drugs. But so far for us as a committee, we asked for a scientific and a scientific analysis are trying to assess the disadvantages and the dangers of this bill, because we are aware that the minister then, when appeared before the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, alluded to the fact that these narcotics are dangerous for the community of Uganda. But today, we see the Minister of Internal Affairs, General Kahindo Otafire, trying to convince the committee that this particular cut and part of the cannabis plant is good for the country. So for us, our job as a committee is to look into this with the information provided by the minister through his technical team. We have asked the technical team to come with the written submissions so that as members of the committee we are able to scrutinize this information provided so that we can make our conclusion, we can come up with a good. But the most important thing is that as we try to formulate this law, we must put in mind that the population of Uganda is the supreme, because we want to come up with a law which is going to contribute to the productivity, and the productivity here we want to talk about our community not being destroyed by these particular narcotics which are being forwarded by the minister. So for us as a committee, we have not concluded our job yet. We are waiting for the minister to present himself on Tuesday so that we can scrutinize the information given to us, and we shall be able to form an informed decision and present this bill for the good of Ugandans. But I can tell you that we are interested in the lives of our people. We are interested much as we are looking at the economy, but life of the population is what is important.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely for us as a committee, we have embarked on processing this bill, which was quashed by courts of law. And as a minister responsible, is mandated to come and do the submissions. So he has, in his submission, though not written, he has submitted that he cut, which is Miraa, others call it Miraa, others call it Mayirungi, that it should be removed from the list of the prohibited brands. And then he said some parts of probably a certain type of cannabis. To us, we welcome his idea, of course. It's under the normal circumstances that he can, once a bill is tabled, then the minister, at this level now, we can make additions and subtractions. So in this case, we are going to consider his submission, and we are going to have intensive and extensive discussions over the same. That's why we are, in the afternoon, we are interacting with the Association of Miraa Growers. But by and large, last year we happened to travel to Somalia. And Kenya is the biggest supplier of Miraa in Somalia. It so happened that some time back, Ethiopia went and robbed the country of Somalia, and then they terminated the contract of Kenya to supply Somalia with Miraa. Actually, what Kenya did, because the contract at that time, Ethiopia had won it. And Kenya, what they did at that time, they even cancelled all the flights from Somalia to Kenya until they had to sit again and renegotiate. That shows how lucrative the business of Miraa is. Eventually, actually, incidentally, when there was that fracas, our ambassador tried to rob for our country, trying to penetrate the market. But unfortunately, the law at that time, the Narcotic Drugs Act, could not allow that business, to the country, to trade in that business. So I think this is the time now where we should really sit and analyze the economic part of it and the health part of it. Fe ng'akakiiko tutandise omulimu gwaffe ogw'okutunulira mu bago, you call it bago, mu bago lino oba eno bill. Minister responsible wa internal affairs olwaleero aze n'abantu be tutandise emirimu gyaffe. Aina endowooza gy'aleese kugamba nti Mayirungi tugagye ku lisiti oba oliawo n'enjaga naye tugigye ku lisiti. Naye enjaga agambemu ebika bya njaga ebyenjawulo kubanga mulimu enjaga erimu especially oil once it is processed erimu eddagala lye bakozesa mu madwaliro, eddagala lye bakozesa mu nsi ez'ebweru. Actually it is very expensive, za sente ziri waggulu. So tutandise omulimu gwaffe era olwaleero in the afternoon tugenda kusinkana abo abalima Mayirungi tulabe ekigendererwa kyabwe oba ideas ze balina. Naye si kugamba nti we bakolera eteeka 7 years ago, not actually more than that, that was 2014-15, we babikolera waliwo bingi ebizze ng'enjaga by then bagigaana naye already waliwo already NDA Act ng'ekkiriza okulima enjaga for medicinal purposes ku lw'ekufunamu eddagala. So n'olwekyo ate tetwagala obuwayiro buno butandike okukuubana oba obutakwatagana. So n'olwekyo this bill will cure all those gaps.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in our submission, I would want to remove cat and part of cannabis from prohibited substances, because as the scientists will tell you, cat, yes, may have these substances that are a problem to health.
What is cat?
Cat, Miraa, Mayirungi. But when you consider cat and alcohol, cat is a kindergarten play, because you can't prohibit, you can't sell alcohol and prohibit cat. And in our circumstances, cat has become a cash crop. It's a cash crop. Similar to coffee, because if you drink 15 cups of coffee, you will die. You drink 15 cups of coffee, one after another, you will die. You have abused coffee. Similarly, if you abuse cat, it will kill you. Mr. Chairman, if you abuse salt, just take 1 cup of salt, it will kill you. In like manner, if you abuse cat, it will kill you. But cat is, I don't think cat is more dangerous than coffee and alcohol. So I would do, much as I don't say we should consume it, but this is a cash crop in our situation, and necessity is a problem. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think we better remove cat from the prohibited circumstances. Because if cat was that dangerous, how come there are people in Somalia?
Is that proposal in the bill?
No.
So, are you?
I'm proposing to remove it from our amendment, remove it from the prohibited substances. And Mr. Chairman, on top of that, world over, cannabis has now become a plant from which we get medicinal substances.
Can we have order?
Medicinal substances. I am informed by the scientists that cannabis has got 3 principal crops: the male plant, the female plant, and the hermaphrodite. I'm told the male plant produces a substance called THC. I'm not a scientist, but I'm told it's THC, which makes people high. Then the female plant produces CBD, which is used for medicines for cancer, for all sorts of things. And it's now a multi-billion-dollar.
The medicinal part.
The medicinal plant. It's a muffin. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's grown widely in Canada, in Britain.
Are our scientists well equipped with both facts to distinguish between female, male, and hermaphrodite, so as to be able to guide our farmers if they have to do with medicinal? Which one is dangerous, female?
Mayor.
this time around.
But even that one, Mr. Chairman, if if you fertilize, then it becomes destroyed, damaged. I'm told.
The question,
but Mr. Chairman,
yes.
before you go far, even this notion that society will be affected by cannabis is not exactly true. I'm informed that the best cannabis in the world is that type that is found in West Nile of Uganda. This one, which has, I'm told, it has got a purplish end to the leaf. That's supposed to be the best. And in West Nile, it grows wild. It's a weed. Don't we get some of the best brains in this country from West Nile? People in West Nile wasted because of the availability of cannabis. Because the cannabis in West Nile is not
Honorable Minister, are you saying that all people from West Nile, therefore, take...
They don't take it.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So the fact that cannabis can grow and people don't get spoiled is true. Because if cannabis was that dangerous, then there would be nobody of substance from West Nile. Because it's wild. When I was growing up, we used to give this thing to cows. In my banana plantation, they are there. Now, if you smoke them like you smoke tobacco, you get a problem. If you don't, then you don't. So I think, much as I would think we should control it, but the presence of cannabis in our midst is not as dangerous as is presumed. Because you need to smoke about 10 kilograms of cannabis to die, but try to drink 2 glasses of whiskey at the same time. Just swallow 1 glass of whiskey and another, you go. So I think we should more emphasize abuse rather than the cash crop. Because if the Canadians, the British, the Americans are using this for leisure, I'm not advocating for the leisure type. I'm advocating for the medicinal plant, that we should allow our people to grow it in controlled circumstances.
And the question that we put to your technical people, I'm sure, because we have technical staff here, the question we want, are we, as Uganda, do we have that capacity to tell which is medicinal, in this case female, which is non-medicinal and therefore dangerous, and the hermaphrodite one that you mentioned? And that's the gist of this law.
To me, they all look the same, but to them, they know the difference.
You will have to guide us in this. Go on.
So that's my submission. I thank you.
You will have to convince this committee why you are coming up with amendments even before at this early stage. What actually convinced you? We'll need written submissions from you, Honorable Minister, to the committee why you are coming up with the amendments, why you are amending the law that is even not yet formally before the committee or on the floor of Parliament for debate, because it's actually, although there is no law binding you, but we will require written submissions from you, particularly that one, and your own presentations.
Mr. Chairman, I'm introducing this before the committee, because as you know, this is my advocacy committee.
Yeah.
So I want to convince my committee that this is the way we should go, so that when this committee is talking to the rest of the House, they know what they are talking about. Because if I don't convince them at this stage, then the committee will go and oppose me. So because this is my advocacy committee, I'm appealing to the committee that this is the way we should go. Because cat, yes, it may have substances that are not exactly desirable, but it's not as bad as alcohol. You know, cannabis, the CBD type, produces substances that are used in medicine.
Honorable Minister, whose responsibility is it to regulate alcohol?
Well, I found alcohol. Alcohol was invented by Adam. So I don't know who regulates it. I think the government regulates the sale of alcohol by licensing.
Yes.
The sale and production of alcohol by licensing. That's why we have licensed breweries, we license bars, we license, we put age restrictions, you know, to say you can't drink when you are below 18. But you see, whether you drink below 18 or above 18, you are still drinking. You are still drinking. And alcohol is got is of economic effect to the country, because the biggest taxpayers in this country
does it not worry you that if we make cannabis abundantly available, we'll be prone to abuse?
No, I'm saying we grow cannabis for producing medicine. So you can't make it abundantly available, in that it has to be prescribed by your physician. You know, I'm not growing cannabis for, you know, for leisure. Although in Europe now they have, some countries have legalized it for leisure. You know, that you can smoke cannabis and do your own things. You know, so, because you see, when you smoke cannabis, you lose sense of judgment. When you drink 4 bottles of beer, you also, the same thing happens. Then they say, don't smoke and drive, don't drink and drive.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will reluctantly participate in this debate because regarding the point of procedure I raised, I remember I took part in enactment of this law in the ninth Parliament, and actually we raised a lot of same issues the Minister is raising today about cannabis and Miraa. And by then, the scientists, and I'm glad that part of the team that appeared before this very committee then is here. And they convinced us beyond reasonable doubt, scientifically, that cannabis had no ground, cat is medically harmful. And Mr. Chairman, when you look at the streets and people who are mad, the highest percentage is abuse of drugs and mainly cannabis.
When you say drugs, Honorable, I think at this time we'll have what
cannabis.
Drugs?
And in addition to that, when we come to the schedules, there are many, including tablets. Now today when we begin isolating, I want to be convinced by the scientists.
No, we'll give you a
because
chance.
Here now we are isolating cannabis, we are isolating cat or Miraa. Then when next time the minister comes,
we are isolating a certain particular type of cannabis. Not all cannabis, no. We are looking for the medicinal cannabis.
And yes.
I will need to be convinced that there is this cannabis certain type. Mr.
So
Chairman.
the minister, in effect, is
And
looking at
Mr. Chairman, if you could, I seek your indulgence.
Please.
And actually, the way we are moving today is the very way we moved in the 9th Parliament, including passing the law without a quorum. Because of the agency the minister was putting. I would seek your indulgence,
the
Mr.
minister
Chairman.
is not putting agency. And we are not, this is at committee stage.
So,
yeah. So, Honorable Keyo,
Mr. Chairman,
Honorable
that's
Keyo,
why I
take
said
card.
I would reluctantly
Chairman,
participate.
Sorry for interfering. Sorry for interrupting you, Honorable Member. But like there is time for repentance in religion, there is also time for second thoughts in politics.
I beg your pardon?
I said like there is time for repentance in religion, there is also time for second thoughts in politics.
Second, okay.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'm much aware that about 80% of patients at Butavika National Referral Hospital are drug abusers like cannabis, ganja, cat. And then here, our young people will watch on TV. They'll watch you telling them that you rather do, or cannabis does not affect health compared to alcohol. Yet, alcohol is more dangerous than cannabis. And yet you find that when you do research on our streets, a bigger percentage of those affected as a result of cannabis or any sort of drug abuse. So I would request that maybe your statement of comparing cannabis to alcohol, at least you have to rescind that. Thank you.
But I'm not going to rescind that because that's reality. That's reality. We have traffic accidents as a result of alcohol. Yes, you may have traffic accidents as a result of cannabis. It doesn't mean that makes it alcohol any holier than cannabis. So you can't allow one and prohibit the other. Because I'm talking of cannabis for medicinal purposes, not any other type. Because if you, like I told you, salt is good. But if you drink too much salt, it will kill you. Honey, try taking a cup of honey. Take a cup of honey and it will dehydrate your internal organs and you'll die. Abuse of any substance in nature will result into, dangerous consequences. So I am talking of producing cannabis for medicinal purposes.
And therefore, I think...
I'm not advocating for leisure. You know, there is cannabis for leisure. There is cannabis for medicinal purposes. Like in bananas, there is banana for alcohol, mbide, and then there is banana for food, matoke. So I'm advocating for the good cannabis, which our people can grow under controlled circumstances and get money. Because everybody else in the world is doing it. Everybody else in the world is doing it. South Africa, Israel, Canada, Britain, America. And,
okay, so first, just a moment. I think this falls now to our technical people, our scientists here, to define for us which cannabis is female, is male, or double-edged hermaphrodite. Which one do you want forbidden? Which one prohibited? Which one do you not want prohibited? And it will be guiding not a country, but humanity to come and those that we are following. We must, as Parliament of Uganda, regulate this. But the scientists, it falls on your head. So I think, Honorable, would it not be proper that we give them a chance to make a presentation, then they guide us? Please, over to you.
I know before us is the Minister of Internal Affairs, whom I believe is charged with the responsibility of implementing this act. But the Chair, I want to just seek clarification, maybe through your Chair. When you go through the interpretation part of this act, and specifically when you are defining the minister, they define the minister responsible for internal affairs, who is before us this morning. However, when you go to section 11, Mr. Chair, of the same act, which talks about the penalties for cultivation of these certain plants, Chair, once reads, no person shall cultivate any prohibited plant from which a narcotic, drug, or psychotropic substance may be extracted without written consent of the minister responsible for health. And when you take time and read through this act, Chair, you will see Minister of Health being mentioned many times. And I am Public's Chair, whether this act is supposed to be implemented by Internal Affairs or they are co-implementing it with the Ministry of Health. So I want to seek clarification from you, Chair, because over time I've been going through this.
Thank you, Honorable. Today is and now is time for the Minister of Internal Affairs. We certainly shall hear from the Minister of Health to particular sections that the Minister is concerned with. Two, we have technical people here. It would be proper that we listen. And
me, I'm the issue of cannabis. Because I remember in 10th Parliament, we passed a law to regulate and to allow, to license growers of cannabis. And
which law is that?
I cannot cite the law, but we have passed the law in 10th, but I remember. Yes. NDA. Yes. And now, cannabis is grown at a scale by licensed people. Weed for medicinal, and is being sold.
That is, thank you,
Yes.
Honorable.
Now,
That's exactly why we must listen.
Why are we deliberating on an issue that is being...
Now, Mr. Chairman, if I could guide. Yes, that law was passed. Parliament authorized production of cannabis, medicinal cannabis under license. Yeah. And there are people here who are licensed. In Kasese, in Tebe, both experimentally and actually commercially. Then later on, there was a rethink. There was a rethink of the law. Then they introduced the section by the Ministry of Health. I know there was a big lobby of these people who want to go to heaven. The Christian lobby, who said, no, we cannot have uncontrolled production of cannabis. Our children are going to get spoiled. That's why I alluded to West Nile, because that belief by the Christian right, the evangelicals and the company, is a bit outdated, because cannabis grows wild in West Nile, as you know, those from West Nile. You know, this cannabis grows wild in West Nile. I'm not advocating for smoking of cannabis, but I'm saying sometimes we make decisions which are not properly thought out. You know, so there was this change in the law where they introduced requesting the authority of the Minister of Health. Maybe I should have said in consultation with the Minister of Health, and then it is the scientists, maybe. So, but having walked through the banana plantation at night without finding path, when we see light in the morning, we can't stay in the same banana plantation because we are lost at night. When we see light, we can now say, this was ill-advised, let's follow this path. It's here for debate, Mr. Chairman.
That is it. Let's give a chance to the tech. That's why.
CBD oil.
What is CBD oil?
That one for medicine. The female one is $10,000 on the world market. 10,000.
Okay. Honorable, why don't we first listen? Your information to who?
I saw
To me? Honorable, let's listen to...
I had purposely come here for CAT, and I represent, no, I'm giving you information. I represent Wakiso Miller's growers.
They are here, they are going to appear before this committee.
Exactly, and they have all the scientific proof of all this. So thank you for rolling it out.
From the Director, Government and late collaborator.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Member.
Can we listen to
my Honorable Minister? He has made our life easier through his initial submission.
He has actually made it difficult.
First and foremost, sir, you know that this bill came at the time 2015, and of course the work upon this bill started 2013, 2014, and 2015. That's when it became a law. And of course, at that time, there were a number of things which were not under consideration. However, you have guided us that we should give our submission on the issues of cannabis, cats, the male or female parts, and that kind of cannabis, which is under license, which is licensed to be cultivated or grown in the country, and of course to give whether there is a usefulness of this cannabis or these narcotic plants and its usefulness in the medicinal world. First is that my Honorable Minister submitted on the issue of some narcotic plants grown in the West Nile. I have the pleasure to submit this committee that our agency did a research on this kind of cannabis, and I would gladly present what we discovered. That is West Nile.
When you say your agency, what do you mean?
Government Analytical Laboratories. Okay. It was in a sample was gotten, and this sample is known in the local language Karakara or Azagi. That is scientifically known as Datura strontium, and is something which is being used by the youth in the West Nile region, Moyo and Adjumani. And of course, this local herb causes people to be high. And the students.
Procedure?
For the committee and for Parliament as well, and for the entire country. And when a team like this from Internal Affairs headed by the Minister is summoned to come and appear before a committee like this one, they appear formally. They are written to and they come to submit. Therefore, the submission is official and they are supposed to give us copies of what they are presenting for us to follow. Because like the Minister said, we are the ones now to do the advocacy and everything, to have these things.
I agree. Especially when you quote a research product, you have to table it before the committee.
Yeah.
Go on.
Honorable, I appreciate the guidance, sir, and as you had suggested that we needed to submit written responses to the committee with other information which we have now been requested to do so, I will gladly tender in officially, Honorable Chair.
Okay, so go on with your presentation.
But I was just reacting to the submission from...
wasn't the question part of your...
Which is also prohibited, but
you have seen on the world stage...
Yes, yes.
People...
yes.
Getting disqualified. Not only that, even long after they have been crowned, their crowns and medals being withdrawn,
yes,
on account that they were found to have been under the substances.
Doping, yes. And not only that, such doping systems can also be used in horse racing and so on. So we did that, and the Honorable Minister said that this is a purplish and fruit. So we undertook the analysis and we found that yes, indeed, it contained some constituents,
yes,
which makes people excited and high to some extent. Honorable Chair and honorable members, we have cannabis sativa. For us, we know...
You are now giving us the DNA of cannabis.
I'm giving the scientific nomenclature of the different cannabis.
Yes.
We have cannabis sativa, which in our local setting, we know it is marijuana. But also this constitutes industrial hemp. And this cannabis sativa, which is marijuana, and the industrial hemp, they are similar in the nature. And it is this industrial hemp at the time when it was being introduced for cultivation in the country. And it has got medical useful purposes. It has also got other things other than the medicine. It has got the straw, which is also used in textile industries and the other industrial, the byproducts coming from this. Now, the cat, which is the Catha endulis, which is the, in the local language, Miraa or Mayirungi is also one of the plants which is grown not only in Uganda but the whole of East Africa and Northeast Africa. Areas of Ethiopia, areas of Somalia, Kenya, you come to Uganda, because of our climate, they are grown. And we find that it also contains some narcotic, depending on the amount how much you eat and take. If you take a concentrated one, but you definitely are going to have, as the Honorable Minister said, if you do take beyond the certain dosage, definitely it will have negative effects on your brain, on your health. We know for sure that the different kinds of the plant, of course the plant has got, as you said, Honorable Minister said, male or female, because definitely it must produce the seeds which is used for propagation or for future plants. So we know that the cannabis plant produces concentrated oils if under manufacturing. We can produce concentrated oils that is extracted and of course used in medicinal purposes. And we have also seen that in other developed countries they use this oil in treating epilepsy, in treating cancer patients who are now having nausea, vomiting, who cannot now take in some food, and of course.
Chair, you guided very well. And like the minister pointed it out that this is an advocacy committee. Chair, I can see that the minister and his team is actually laboring so much to give us the advanced public. And I want to propose, Chair, that the minister should come up with the comparative analysis, give us the disadvantages and the disadvantages of these particular narcotics. But like you guided, like through the procedural matter Honorable Semper put, that we can do advocacy if we are on the same page. These are scientific terms that the director, the girl, is using. It would be good for them, because this is a very pertinent bill, for them to supply members of this committee with written submission so that we can also go through, be on the same page. Know that not all of us are scientists on this committee, but also we are interested in ensuring that we have a good law for this country. You have mentioned the benefits. You are mentioning the benefits. You won't even tell us how other countries are doing, how Kenya is selling cat to Somalia. But you are also aware that in this country, implementation is very difficult. The regulatory system, and coupled with underfunding of these agencies, which are supposed to implement. So the procedural matter I want to stick on, the one raised by the Honorable Semper, isn't it procedural right for us to give these people time to go and supply us with written paper so that we can be on the same page? I thank you, Chair.
First of all, Honorable Minister, when we wrote, we were aware that your ministry has...
We can explicitly, as guided by this committee, submit the pros and cons of the cannabis.
You had not prepared that.
I had the...
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. We had not anticipated that the committee would require written submission.
The fact,
without my committee getting convinced. When my committee is convinced, then the rest of Parliament is convinced. But the Ugandans, so we beg that we go and prepare. And then come back to you when we are ready, like you have directed.
Thank you. Yeah, because you have police. Do you have a written? You have written presentation?
I doubt.
Felt that if there is anything on legal, we have got Commissioner Legal. Anything connected with the science, we are here.
Thank you. So we are now going to dismiss you, Honorable Minister, and I think that word is appropriate. we are going to discharge you.
Mr. Chairman, you leave the army in about 4 factors. There is when you are retired, you leave the army. There is when you are dismissed. That's when you there is when you are dismissed with disgrace. It's all dismissal, but each one varies. When
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I beg that you discharge us, not dismiss us, discharge us.
The regulatory framework enforcement by police. What is the current practice?
As the director, the guard said, that this was drafted in 2014, passed in 2015, and at that time there were issues, and there are also other issues that emerged. Probably, if there are any additions, subtractions, please let them also be included in your submission.